Welcome to Everyday Ethics. I am your host, Michael Liebowitz, and I am thrilled to be here on this New Year's Eve with all of you. And just remember that we do have super chats and super stickers. They were always greatly appreciated. So it's New Year's Eve, and it occurred to me this morning that around this time of year, a lot of people make New Year's resolutions, things that they want to change, things they want to do differently in the new year. And I also know that most New Year's resolutions are not kept. They're broken and usually broken very quickly. So, my question for you, the audience, is do you have any New Year's resolutions? Would you like to share them? If so, I'd be very happy with that. If not, that's okay too. And of course, if you have any questions, as long as they're related to ethics, they don't have to be about New Year's resolutions. Feel free to ask in the chat. When I think about New Year's resolutions, I think about being overwhelmed, that we're trying to do too much at once. And whenever I think about trying to do too much at once, I'm reminded of Ben Franklin. And now, in Ben Franklin's autobiography, he talked about how when he would try to change, it would often be overwhelming for him because he would try to change all at once, and then he would do one thing right and then screw up everything else, and then he would switch and do that, and then that would screw up. So what Ben Franklin actually did was he came up with a system of 13 habits he wanted to build in himself, and he would spend a week on each one and just that, and let everything else go by the wayside. He wouldn't concern himself with it at all, because he just said, I'm just going to focus on one thing and I'll keep going with this for this week. And then after that week, he'd move on to the next, and so on and so forth. And he would repeat this 4 times so that he did 4 systems or 4 series in a year. And each night he would, mark up how he thought he did on that day. And it helped him out. It helped him to change. I actually, with Brent McCall, while we were incarcerated, implemented the Ben Franklin system and got results from it. I found it to be very helpful. I find it unhelpful to be trying to do everything all the time. So, like, now we're here on Everyday Ethics. What are some ethical goals for our own ethical behavior that we can set? Mind you, I mean, it's New Year's, so it's kind of a tradition, but really you can do this at any time, obviously. But I mean, think about it. Maybe get out your pen and paper and write down, what ways this year can I be more productive? How can I be more productive? And just generate a list from that. And then maybe ask yourself, do the same thing. Honesty. Where have I been dishonest? Whether with myself, with others, how can I be more honest in the coming new year? Independence. How could I be less dependent on others, whether it be on others for their opinion, for their financial support? Just make a nice list. And then once you have this list, you can go over and actually see, okay, well, this I can do, maybe this you can't do, but it helps you to grow because now you have it concretely on paper. And I would continue that for justice, in integrity, pride, of course, being the quest for moral perfection. I would do this, make this list. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to do it now that I'm considering it. I'm going to go over all the objectivist virtues and values as well and see what can I do in these areas to improve myself. So how can I build my self-esteem? Remember, we talked about self-esteem yesterday and the things that we could do. So what can I do to build my self-esteem, to have more confidence, to have more self-respect? What can I do? What's concrete steps? When you put things in concrete terms, it always helps out because it's visible. It's what you can see. I can do this. I can pick up my phone. I can pick up my cup. I can do 30 laps around the yard if I want to. Very, very concrete. So you want to ask yourself, what concrete steps can I take in order to accomplish my goal or to achieve my resolution? Ray says, remember, a resolution implies resolve and a solution to a problem. Yeah. So let's do that. How can I be more rational? How can I be more reasonable? So let's just look at something like reason. Okay. what can I do to be more rational? Um, so one of the things that I could do is study the rules of logic, Aristotelian logic specifically. I can learn about non-contradiction, the law of identity, the implications of things. There's a lot of good books out there, so I can, maybe read some of those, like How to Think Straight by Anthony Flew, Being Logical. I can't remember the author, but it's a good book. Another good book is When Good Thinking Goes Wrong. Definitely Introduction to Objectivist Epistemology, so I can actually learn what reason is, and I can make a commitment to myself that I'm going to keep doing this. And then maybe I'll set my goal. What actions can I take today that are in align with reason? Yelling at people, is that reasonable to yell at people for no reason? Allowing myself to get angry at things over which I have no control, over things that don't affect me. Uh, that could be something else. So I can make a list of what would be the concrete implementations of somebody who is implementing reason. How would they be behaving? And if you do that, you'll see yourself growing. But it definitely entails learning about what reason is and is not. It takes commitment, it takes practice at being reasonable. You may have a friend that is a rational person, and you ask your friend, hey, will you call me out when I'm being unreasonable? But you can't get defensive now. You say, okay, I want to do that. Will they do that? And you'll see that if you start to take these concrete steps of how a reasonable person would behave, and you start to implement that, you start to put it into practice, it gets easier and easier. As Aristotle said, it becomes second nature to you for being reasonable. And what about purpose? Well, Tal Safani has a good book out there on how to cultivate purpose. So you may ask yourself questions, to develop your purpose. So what could be some questions that you might ask? A race. So, what could you ask yourself to develop purpose? Well, what have been my interest in my life? What have been my interests in my life? What have I always liked to do? What have I been drawn to? Doesn't mean you have to do it, but when you ask yourself this question, you'll open it up and you'll start to see, what am I naturally attracted to? What suits me? So you can ask yourself, what interests me? What am I good at? What talents do I have? What skills do I have? Am I a good talker? Am I a good writer? So you develop, what do I like? What am I good at? Is it reasonable that I could actually implement this? How will my life be different if I implement this? What will be the effects of it? So you can do that with purpose, and you say, okay, so these are some of the steps that I could take. Well, what's the amount of effort that I'm going to have to put in order to achieve my purpose? Am I willing to put forth that effort? What are the concrete steps that are going to get me from here to here? So if I say, for instance, I want to lose 15 pounds. Okay, well, what's going to get me that? How much cardio do I have to do? What kind of exercises? What kind of weight training? What's going to have to be my diet so I don't lose muscle, so I only lose the fat? These are the kind of things you want to do. So as you cultivate your purpose, you're going to ask yourself, remember, what am I naturally attracted to? What am I good at? Is it feasible that I could actually pursue this purpose? What steps do I have to take in order to pursue it, in order to go after it? When you do this, when you actually do introspection and you ask yourself, and about these questions, you'll feel yourself learning more about yourself. You'll feel yourself actually begin to grow. And I cannot overstate this. Brett McCall, he who was on the cup, the benefit of having a good friend that will be honest with you about yourself, there's no overstating it. I promise you, I guarantee this, that there are things about you that you are not aware of, but other people are. I guarantee it. But it's important that you're dealing with somebody you trust, not a liar, not somebody that's manipulative, not somebody that has an agenda, because you need this person to be honest. And the person also has to be insightful. So that's, what Brent and I had. And there was a lot of times it hurts. Somebody telling you, dude, you're acting up here, or dude, you're acting insecure. This is your insecurities getting the best of you. Who the hell wants to hear that? But it's necessary if you're going to fix it, right? So you want to have somebody that can help you, that can give you feedback. So, also you might just say, make a list and say, what are my flaws? What are some of the flaws that I have? Make and you look at yourself. Remember, you're always judging by reality, and you're judging by a rational standard of what is best for you. And you say, well, what are my flaws? What ways am I acting contrary to my own best interest? You generate a list, and maybe you say, you know what, I can tolerate this. I can tolerate this. What can I tolerate? What is most pressing? What should I be working on right now? That could be something else that you do to implement a change. Also, you could say, you know what am I good at? What am I really, really good at? And how can I develop that? How can I cultivate that? How can I use that to make myself a better human being? What can I do? And again, feedback from others, always helpful. If I had to say two things, well, I'd say three things because the one is paramount. Three things that helped me to turn my life around. One was a desire and a willingness, right? Willingness to be honest with myself, absolutely face things about myself that I, did not like, and a willingness to change them when I could. And that desire kind of fuels that. So you got to cultivate that desire to be better. Then reading. I don't know how people change themselves without reading. I don't know if it's even possible. But whenever you read stuff, and I'm not talking about reading garbage or, trashy novels. I mean, stuff that will edify you. You feel yourself growing. You feel your thinking actually change. The way that you think about yourself, the world, the future begins to alter. And then having somebody to give you feedback. You got to have somebody that gives you good feedback. There's just I don't like I said, I don't know a way around it. Jim Valiant says we tend to be good at what we enjoy and to enjoy that which we are good at. And he emphasizes tend. Jim is prudent, like I am in the use of language, because it is a tendency. It's not guaranteed in every moment. I remember in prison, we had various jobs, and I'm not mechanically inclined. I never have been. And I hated the jobs that they would give me. But then I got good at stripping, waxing, buffing floors, keeping waxed floors looking nice. And when I got good at it, I enjoyed it. I wanted to do it. I would volunteer to do it, and I would break my ass to do the best job that I possibly could because I was good at it. But I wasn't always good at it. I had to cultivate it. I had to learn the skill. So there may be something out there for you. Back to the purpose piece that you don't even know about. Maybe you're not good at it yet, but you can get good at it. You can cultivate it. You can grow. You can learn. You can make it happen. I mean, you look at Jim Valiant, for instance. Jim Valiant was a prosecutor for many, many years. Then he retired from that. He becomes an author. He's written two really good books. He's also a lecturer for the Ayn Rand Center UK. He's a regular guest on my programs. He's been ducking and dodging to get out of coming on my shows lately because he's got some tooth problem. But I'm hoping with the new year that will be improved because Jim Valiant is a saving grace. He's a national treasure, and he's absolutely wonderful to have on the show. He's also a great friend, to be perfectly honest with you. Why I wouldn't be perfectly honest, I don't know. I don't know why I said that. I guess it's just a saying. You know what I mean? So, hey, there's that. So what does everybody think about this? About, New Year's? Who made the Megyn Kelly show today? Jim? Jim, you were not on the Megyn Kelly show. No way. What do you guys think about this? About New Year's resolutions, about personal growth, about the kind of effort that it's going to take, to grow, to become better, to accomplish the things that you want? Also, think about this, right? I read this somewhere. I don't remember where the hell I read it, but it basically that which we earn to eat. Maybe it was Thomas Paine. I think it was Thomas Paine. I'm almost positive it was Thomas Paine that says that which we obtain too easily, we esteem too lightly. Because when we get something easily, we just don't appreciate it. We don't care. But when we earn something, we appreciate it, we respect it. There's nothing in this world more important to me than my own character. Nothing. And part of the reason for that is because of how much work it took, how much effort, how much reading, how much self crucifixion over and over and over again. And I mean, and it continues. And because I understand how difficult it is, how tough it is, it really, really, really makes me appreciate it and not want to let it go, not want to just give it up to, sell myself for a moment of some type of momentary fleeting pleasure. Jim says that they took on Megyn Kelly at ARC UK. Aha. So evidently Jim can speak at this point. Jim. Katrin Kohler says her New Year's resolution is to work on her time management skills at work and being more straightforward with my coworkers, because she tends to not tell them when she's upset because of something, but instead take over the task myself. Okay, so Katrin, let's take a look at what can Katrin do to Jim. We don't need excuses. We just need you on the show. We got to do objectivity for a podcast. But anyways, so what can Katrin do? Well, let's think about it, right? First, like I said, she can read. There's got to be a ton of books out there on time management and also on assertiveness, right? On communication, how to be assertive. I'd recommend Confidence and Power when dealing with people by Les Gibbon, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I mean, that's just two off the top of my head, but there's many, many, many others that you can read on communication. You can also read on time management, and then you can set a goal. Well, today I'm going to implement this aspect of being assertive. Today I will speak my mind 3 times. Whatever it is, Katrin, you want to make it very concrete and very simple of what your intermediate and immediate goals are, so that you know what to do. You have a clear goal in mind, a clear set of actions. What will be the language that you use when you go communicate with people? Time management, same thing. Okay, let me make sure that today I don't waste more than, I don't know, you want to be realistic. So if you're now wasting, let's say you're wasting an hour at work, you don't want to say that whole hour is going to be better. Maybe you say, I'm going to cut it in half and only waste a half hour, or I'm only going to waste 20 minutes. And remember, what does it look like? What is it going to look like for you to be wasting less time? Nicole Hingle says, Katrin, keep in mind, constructive criticism is good for the employees you manage. It helps them and you. Yes, it does. If somebody can't take constructive criticism, then that person should not be working for you. And you don't want to work with them. If somebody's touchy and defensive, it's really hard to accomplish things, because you simply have to do things. I mean, you have to tell people when they're making mistakes. It doesn't mean you scream and yell at them and tell them what horrible humans they are, but you have to be willing to say, hey, listen, this could be done better, or hey, you messed this up. Don't continue doing it this way. I remember one time I had this boss, and this guy was such a dick when I was incarcerated, and we were working on making cabinets. Hi, Jesus. Jesus is my phone guy at Costco. Subby, don't let me know if you're going to be screwing up my phone. Oh, okay. Never mind. Subby told me what to do. I will, Subby. I'll leave here at 3:00. Anyways, back to what the hell I was talking about. Oh, this guy in prison. If anybody has ever read my book with Brent McCall, Down the Rabbit Hole, How the Culture of Corrections Encourages Crime, you will be familiar with this. So they had me in an assembly line with guys who the guy in front of me kept screwing up. So now I'd get a messed up product so I couldn't do my job. And the boss said to me, well, what do you want me to do about it? Well, you're the boss. But the boss couldn't take constructive criticism, so he got mad at me. Then the next day, the guy says to me, he brings me in the office for a big lecture. He says, look, Liebowitz, He says, we're doing 40 cabinets. If 30 of them come out right and 10 don't, I'm okay with that. You're okay with that. He says, is that right or wrong? Who knows? Who's to say? I said, me. I'm to say. Because you took a job for 40. That doesn't mean you do 30. It means you do 40 correct. But ultimately the situation, the power differential between he and I led to me losing my job while he, got to work in abundance of overtime. But that is not normally the case. My point is that he was insecure. He couldn't take any criticism. He couldn't deal with it, and he was in a position where it didn't matter. That is not the kind of person you want to work for. That's not the kind of person you want working for you. That is not the kind of person you want for a coworker. Now, I know there's times in life when you cannot control who your coworkers are, or maybe you have to take a job, whatever. I don't know who does Lee Frazier hate? Lee Frazier. Jim Valiant says, finish a task started whenever possible. Yes. You don't want to have an abundance of projects around the house that are not completed. I get kind of obsessive when I'm reading a book. Like I'm reading this book right now. This is a good book. I'm about 30 pages in. It's called What We Value. Of course, you couldn't see what it was, but it's about the neuroscience of valuing. And it's very, very, very good. I'm really enjoying it. But I have to finish it. I have to make it through. I have to get it done. You're gonna want to finish the tasks you set for yourself. And the more you finish the tasks, the better you will feel about yourself. I guarantee it. Lee Frazier says that View from a Cage is the greatest book ever written. Oh God. Thank you, Lee. I think you're very, very mistaken. I think it's a good book. I mean, I wrote it. I think it's good, but far from the greatest book ever written. I'm thinking about maybe starting a Substack. Maybe Jim Valiant and I could start a Substack together where we write articles. I don't know. It's just that taking on that task, writing is tough. Writing is not an easy thing to do. I'm very astute at communicating verbally like this, because say I make a mistake, I can immediately correct it. Right? I can catch myself. I can hear what I've said and I can correct what I'm saying. Or if I'm talking face to face with a person, I can see their reaction or I can see your reaction. But when you're writing a book or you're writing an article, it's far more difficult to, first of all, immediately correct it. When you go back over and read it, often you'll see the problem, but it's also very difficult to proofread your own stuff because you understand what you're trying to convey. But you don't know if the person that's reading it is getting it. So it's tough. Ray Jacobson says, Creating Christ isn't too bad either. Creating Christ is Jim Valiant's book. There's also a documentary on PBS about it. Very, very good. Jim and I also did a podcast where we discussed it. So I encourage you to check all that out. That'd be very, very much appreciated. I'm sure Jim will as well. So are there any questions from the audience about what we've been talking about? Ray says you could do voice to text dictation, just edit out the mistakes. I guess I feel very uncomfortable doing that. Ray says just not in my comfort zone to sit there and talk something. They say when you write like you talk, but I don't find that helpful at all. So I don't know. But if Jim and I wrote Substack, I think it'd be good, but it would also be a lot of effort. And I don't know if I want to do it. I don't know if Jim wants to do it, but maybe, of course, that'd be like me telling Bill Gates, let's get together and make some money, given Jim's level of knowledge compared to mine. But whatever, maybe Jim and I will consider that in the new year. Jim Valiant is, again, Prince among men. You can catch him often, I think every day, in fact, on the ARC UK shows, or you can also catch him. He does a lecture series on the weekend. Great guy. Very, very bright. So what are some questions? I'm looking for some from the audience, and I'm not seeing any. Let me scroll back. Somebody said something about Japan that I'm interested. Oh, Katrin says, my problem often is I jump from task to task, and at the end of the day, it feels like I didn't get anything done, because basically I worked on 20 things but couldn't finish anything. Yeah, so that's something to work on. How, ask yourself, what could I do better? How could I do better? The Japanese concept above, so sophisticated understanding of purpose. Let's see. I got to find this. Race Jacobson says the Japanese have a concept called ikigai. It unifies the notions of what you're good at, what makes money, what you have a passion for, and what the world needs. Uh, it says demand. Yes, Race. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm gonna have to look that up. I think because I've never heard of it in the past. Obviously, I haven't heard of it in the future either. Lee is crying over my friendship with Jim Valiant. Thank you, Lee. I cannot wait. Let me just, we're winding down here and getting ready to go into the new year. I can't wait to have Jim Valiant on this show for you. Jim is one of these guys that just exudes a love for life and a passion for what he does. And he's very smart. So when he communicates this stuff, it comes through how sincere he is, how passionate he is, and he's also very wise. And so it helps immensely. Jenna Kleem says, I'm sorry, I don't have questions. I feel lazy. Lee Frazier says, it's been an emotional day and I'm high. Everything is making me cry. Okay, I did not know you were high. It's New Year's Eve. Whatever. So what's everyone doing for New Year's Eve anyway? Me, I'm going to go over here to Costco and I'm going to get my phone switched over, get some dinner, probably take a marijuana gummy for the night and lay back and watch a movie. And I'll probably be in bed by 10 o'clock, which is fine by me because I'm leaving for New York City in the morning. Can't wait to go to, I love New York City. I had never been to New York City until, I got out of prison, and now I'm hooked. I love it. I just love the feeling of being there. I love everything that's all around. It's just great. The drive, but it doesn't bother me much. I'd rather drive than take a train. Not a fan. Jenna Kleem says, what are you going to watch? Lee Frazier, the movie Substance is awful. I'm just going to say it. It's an absolute horrid movie. I'm interested to see your take on it. Race Jacobson is sick. His throat is Death Valley. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, listen, I'm going to wind this down just a little bit early. I have to get out of here. I have to get to Costco. I thank you all so much. This was our 20th episode today. And I appreciate those of you who have been here from the beginning, those who joined somewhere in between, those who are joining for the first time. I really hope you will continue to watch this show to help me get better at doing what I'm doing so I can help you grow. We can all grow together. That's what life is about. Lee's going to divorce me. I'm sorry, but that is what life is about to me. It's about growth, and that's what we need to do. We can help each other. Please, if you're seeing this on X, go to YouTube, subscribe to the show. That'd be greatly appreciated. You're going to subscribe to Capitalist Corner is the name of the channel, and this show is actually on the Capitalist Corner channel. So please go there, subscribe, share this episode from YouTube to all your favorite platforms. Can't tell you how much I love you all. You're wonderful. Happy New Year. And remember, be ethical. Thank you.